Back to Real Estate UnRaked, where we don't sugarcoat the industry, we unrake it. And today we're hitting a nerve. Why agents out there aren't actually negotiating for you. They're passing messages, avoiding conflict, and hoping the deal magically comes together. Not here, not today. Buckle up.
Because here's the truth. Negotiation is not just sending counters back and forth. If your agent isn't studying leverage, market velocity, and even motivations on the other side, they're not negotiating, they're reacting.
And when your agent negotiates blindly, you pay for it in price, in terms, in stress, in everything. Today, we're breaking down exactly why so many agents drop the ball and what real negotiation actually looks like.
Yes, we are going deep on leverage, timing, preparation, and the brutal truth most agents don't want you to hear. So grab your coffee and settle in.
Because at the Rakers Home Group, negotiation isn't hopeful, it's intentional, it's strategic, and today we're pulling the curtain back on it all. So let's unrake it.
Let's do it.
All right. Happy pre-Thanksgiving. Well, I can say that, but it's going to be Thanksgiving and we're going to have food. We're going to eat. We're going to be great.
Yep.
All right. How's everybody? Good?
Very good.
You're doing good.
Good. Another day. Podcast number 14 for the, oh my gosh, Real Estate UnRaked.
Real estate.
Oh boy. All right. Well, this has been a tradition now. It's going to continue and I love it. Dane, hit me.
All right. Why did the golfer bring two pairs of pants?
Oh man.
I don't know.
Why?
In case he got a hole in one.
Oh. Wow. What does a sprinter eat before a race?
I don't know.
Nothing. He fast.
Oh, he fast.
All right.
All right. Well, let's move all in. This is a interesting topic. You've got why most agents aren't negotiating. And I'm going to tell you, that's got everything to do with experience. We've noticed a huge change with that, especially since the COVID time, where it was just really wasn't much of a negotiation. It was kind of just sign the paperwork and go and make your offer as high as you can make it. And now we're getting back into really ever since 22, 23, we've been really getting back into negotiations and, the art of helping buyers and sellers out. So we are going to really deep dive this. So most agents aren't negotiating. They're acting like message carriers. Okay. We're going to talk about what negotiation really requires, the backbone, the strategy, the data, the timing, and of course, the silence. All right. All right, Dane, what do you think, bud? All right. So the brutal truth. All right. Why agents don't negotiate. Why do you think that's one of the first things?
Well, most of them don't want conflict.
No, the fear of conflict.
Yeah, the fear of conflict. I mean, many agents avoid anything uncomfortable.
Yes.
So they want smooth selling through the whole process. And sometimes real negotiation requires backbone and calm pressure.
Well, do you think they do that because they're afraid that they're going to lose the deal?
I think that has something to do with it. But I think they're also wanting to look at that paycheck sometimes too, instead of taking care of their customers first and getting the best dollar, for their client.
Yeah, I think they're also scared to push back on other agents a little bit. And it's not disrespectful by no means. What it is you're fighting for somebody that has hired you.
Right.
We're hired. We're not, just falling upon and they have to use us. So we've got to earn that business. And to make sure that we do that, we have to make sure that we're ahead of the game. We have the customer's mind, our thoughts in mind and wants and needs, and they're all right there. Garrett, let me ask you a question. You're newer to the industry.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about all this? I mean, when it comes to negotiation.
So one thing I would say as far as negotiating is a little bit with what Dane also said, just being educated on it. And another thing is reading the situation of the listing. If it's a listing that's been on the market for like a long time, you can probably have a little easier, I would say slightly easier offer. Maybe there's not much attention on the home. And then if you have a house that's got, 2-3 listings, you might need to be a little more smart about that.
Yeah. So you're actually talking about understanding the leverage.
Yeah.
And, most of the time, the agents that do struggle with this negotiation stuff, they're not studying the market data. They don't have the ability to read who actually holds the power in the deal. So when you kind of go through the motions and, we put an offer in for a customer and, you kind of get either a counter offer, you kind of have a good idea where you're at.
Right.
But most of the time, and again, I think this all wraps around with experience and stuff. And there's a difference of a type of experience that you got to have. Experience, just been doing it for like 20 years is one thing, but doing it for even 5 to 10 years, and that experience is honed in, fine-tuned, and really relatable for our clients, that's a huge difference to me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And you'll be able to read, who holds the power in every deal. Right now, we know that we got higher interest rates right now. We got a lot of incentives that new builders are offering. You've got sellers that are anxious to sell, and they're more negotiable. Who holds the power right now in this market? The buyers.
The buyer does, for sure.
Yeah. And it's you kind of see that hidden right now because of the affordability factor. And I think we've kind of beaten this thing too much. And I think everybody's ready for a shift, which is exciting because our next episode, we're going to talk about, what 2026 is going to bring us. And I'm excited to talk about that. But, the other thing that is really, really important, and it drives with the right experience to have with the agents, is, do you have a conversation with that other agent? I don't know how many times I do a deal where I'm having conversations with the other agent, and you want to know where they're at.
Right. You want to know the motivation of the seller, or the buyer, depending on which end you are, what their motivation is of selling or buying the house. And that will help with your preparation and negotiation.
Yeah. Garrett, Dane, same for you. I mean, when we go through this process and, I'm there for support, we kind of listen and I kind of ask you questions about, hey, have you talked to a listing agent about this? Have you found out about this? What are they saying? And we dissect that a little bit to understand, okay, this is more than likely what they're going to be asking for.
Right.
Or this is what their hot buttons is, or the seller's hot buttons, and what their priorities are. We kind of shift toward that, and then we make it beneficial for our buyer. That's our job.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got to be good negotiators. And Garrett, we ran into that several times.
Yeah.
And, that to me is really, really important for us because we're doing the buyers a service when we do that.
Yeah.
We are. Whenever we put an offer in and say, oh, okay, they countered, this is what we got to do. Or we go through repair request and we find out what we want and we put the request in and the seller comes back and says, no. And we go back to the seller and go, oh, okay, they're not going to do anything. What are we going to do?
Right.
Where's the conversation with agent to agent? I think that is probably the most important thing.
Absolutely, because they know their seller's motivation and what they're willing to go with. And if we can find a happy medium for both sides by talking to the other agent, that's how you get the deal done and then negotiate the best deal for your client.
Right. And I mean, you got to be able to separate the two. So you've got buyers and sellers. They all want the same thing. They all want the house sold. They want the house bought.
Right.
Us as agents, at the end of the day, we get paid to do a service.
Mm-hmm.
So what do? We have the same desire and thought processes that listing agent does if we're on the buying side.
Right.
And vice versa. We want to sell the house. And we have to remember that. Egos aside, attitudes aside, what can we do to help the seller get the house sold? The buyers get the best deal they can on the house. End of story. That's what we do. And there, yes, you're going to have a give and take.
Right.
But you've got to identify what that give and take is. It just isn't what, okay, Mr. Buyer, what do you think? What do you want to do? Okay, I'll let them know. Or the seller, hey, this is what the buyer's doing. What do you want to do? Don't be afraid to say, no, but don't just say no.
Right.
Have some contents with it. Don't negotiate blind and say, no, now bring me something else. You just don't do that. You have to sit there, have a conversation with the listing agent or the buying agent, have a conversation with your customers and say, okay, what are your important things? Okay, I know what those are. I'll go get it.
Right.
At least I'll make a heck of a good attempt at it.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I had a situation where a listing agent called me and I was on the buying side of the house and it almost fell through. And she called me and was pretty much asking, "Hey, Garrett, what can we do to, save this thing and get to the closing table for her seller and my buyer?" And I was like, "This is what we need." I was like, "Let's see if, have a conversation with your seller and let's see if we can continue with it."
yeah, no, silence played a really good role in that. As a matter of fact, all three of us right now, we're sitting at Bono's eating lunch.
Yep.
That happened. And
Yeah.
you got the phone call, you stepped out, you come back in. He goes, "What'd I do?" I said, "Nothing. Just sit there."
Yeah. Silence is sometimes your
Just sit
strongest
there and
strategy.
let it figure out. What we're doing is we were leveraging our buyer
Mm-hmm.
and their offer. And we knew where our buyer could be at the max. And we leveraged the entire thing, and that's being strong. That's having a competitive conversation.
Yeah.
And that's how it works. So great job, Garrett. You did good on that one.
Thank you.
So the other thing is if you're, these people that struggle as an agent negotiating is they're just trying to get the deal done. They don't think about anything else. They have that commission versus protecting the client mentality. And I don't like that. A lot of people don't. And if our buyers or sellers really truly feel that's what they're getting out of it, do you think they're going to have a good mindset on the entire process?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, not at all.
I mean, I always go back to relationship management on every single deal. And it's not just at the beginning and it's not just at the end. It's in the middle. It's the entire process.
Oh, absolutely.
So whatever you can do, whatever you can come up with, that's what's important. Make sure you maintain the not status quo, but the wants and the needs of your customer. Make sure that's always top priority, and you'll end up doing what you need to be doing. I know we definitely do that. Okay?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
You don't want to give concessions too early. Yeah, not asking the right questions and just folding fast. We see a lot of that with the lack of experience and knowledge on that. So, all right, let's talk about what really matters in negotiation. So what negotiation really means. Do you want to chime in on that, Garrett? Do you want to tell me what negotiation really means? And you don't really need to tell me the true definition, but tell me in your own words, what do you think negotiation really is?
I would say personally, just, making sure you get what's best for your client. Like whatever they need as far as financing and all that, what's comfortable for them, what's best for your buyer, whether you're on the selling side, buying side, for my situation and the other agent situation. So both clients, kind of are happy.
Sometimes my initial thought is a negotiation comes. It's like I stand on a podium like an auctioneer and be like, "Hey, here we go." No, I don't do that. But
Like an auction.
yeah, I always have it's crazy because I kind of go into that element whenever we start the process, and I know exactly who I have that I'm representing, and I always like to think that I'm sitting in an office conference room up in like the big city where you're like 96 stories tall and
Right.
you got glass windows and everybody's all prepped, and I'm sitting across the table looking at this other guy going, "All right, let's go." But no, really, negotiation, it's strategy, then talking. You gotta learn both things, figure out exactly what the market's doing, how it's doing, identify both sides' pressure points and motivation.
Yeah.
And once you figure that out, now you also have to read market velocity. Now, Dane, I know you know what market velocity is.
Yes. Market velocity is the speed at which homes are being bought and sold in real time. And it also shows how quickly buyers are absorbing the available inventory and how fast the market is moving. So it includes a variety of things: days on the market, how fast the homes go pending, absorption rate, the rate at which active listings are being sold, month of inventory, how many buyers are touring the homes. Often homes are receiving multiple offers, and how quickly home sales compared to the list price.
Yeah. That is probably one of the most important things that you got to address and pay attention to, especially when you're researching. So don't expect that if you're on the buying side, don't expect the listing agent to have done all that. And no, it's not a CMA. No, it's not comps. It's nothing like that. You gotta leverage what exactly is going on. And this market right now is probably really tough to do that. I mean, we all have a pretty good feeling about how the market is, but when you really dive in, we can figure out, and we've been kind of waging back and forth, knowing exactly what price points are going fast,
right?
Which ones that are sittings, because a lot of us have listings, and to take care of the customer, you got to set the expectation up front.
Yeah.
I truly believe, under promising and over delivering is always the way to go, but also being transparent and genuine for, have people understand the market. The market's not what it was 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago. It's completely different.
I think setting the realistic view on that will help out, especially if you're a seller, because back, like you said, after COVID, houses might have sat a week, maybe two at most. Now you're looking 30, 60, sometimes 90 days. So,
yeah, no doubt.
And that makes a big difference.
I do remember, kind of paying attention to the market years ago before I became an agent. So 2016, there was a lot of listings that would expire, and that was normal. And it was no lack of the listing agent, and they had to learn different tactics. Now, let me ask you a question. That was almost 10 years ago. Do you think the technology is different between now and 10 years ago?
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
How many iPhones have had?
Wow.
But, also understanding market velocity, understanding where, the pressure points are, motivation, that kind of thing. Now, need to understand when using timing as a leverage is important. So when is often more powerful than what? Would you guys agree with me on that?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Garrett, you ran into that twice, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dane, you ran into that twice too.
Yeah.
And I don't have enough fingers to count how many times I've done that.
It's just part of the deal process, if you will. You got to make sure you're patient with it, but at the same time, stay strong to your commitment to your clients.
And what is the easiest way to stay strong?
Sometimes being silent is the best way.
Have you ever been in a conversation or an argument that you on the other side are talking and the other person on the other side of the table just looks at you and doesn't say nothing?
I am married, so that happens a lot.
Yeah. Well, you usually wait to see who's going to break first. It's usually us, Dane.
It is. No doubt.
Still looking at us the way we are.
Yeah, no doubt.
But yeah, no, there's a lot of times where just being quiet, you've already said kind of what you need to say, and you want to let them respond to that. That is a selling tactic, obviously, but I don't use that on customers. I use that when I'm negotiating with other real estate agents, because that's the best.
Right.
Here's another thing, and this is really tough to do. I'm not going to lie. Staying unemotional. That is really tough, because you have to, I feel like when I'm sitting at that conference table up in the business area, that I've got like 17 hats in front of me. And as I'm talking, I'm pulling one hand out, put it on the other. Because I've got to be supportive and emotional for the customer, understand their emotions and what they're going through. I've got to be able to read across the table and see what the listing agent's thinking about, or the buying agent and their customer, what they're thinking about, and just everything. And you got to compile that, and you got to be able to respond to that in seconds.
Yeah.
And, that's when sometimes if you don't know what to say, silence is not in your favor.
No, not at this particular point. Absolutely not.
But everything is just backing everything up with data. If you've got all the right information, you've done the right research, you can go in there and say flat out, hey, we have another, as a matter of fact, give a great example of this is we just had another one of our teammates go under contract, and they're dealing with an appraisal right now. They're actually going to challenge that, because they did the data, the listing agent, her partnered up together because they undervalued the home. Well, come to find out, it's a block and a half away, and in inner Jacksonville, a block and a half can mean a huge difference.
Yeah.
And so they've come up with the right comps, the right times everything was sold, and they're going to try to fight it. But just knowing the data and be able to back it up, so you can actually get an action done for the buyer and seller.
Absolutely.
And then acting like every dollar is your own. So putting yourself in the buyer's position. This is crucial. The reason why this is crucial is because all of us do this every day. We live, breathe, and die real estate, right?
Yeah.
The customer that you're taking care of, the seller you're taking care of, do they do the same thing?
No, they don't do real estate every day.
No, they
depend on us to do that for them.
I would never say that it's not like they don't know. So I'm just going to treat it just they don't know. I'm sure they have knowledge. I'm sure they have education with it, but they don't think about it once, but every 3 to 5 years.
Right.
And in that moment is an experience for them. It's something that they need to go through. So you, as us, we need to set the stage, and we need to minimize the negative emotion. We need to minimize the struggle, and we need to make it the best experience we can possible for somebody.
Absolutely.
Even knowing that you got to give bad information sometimes or bad news. And that's tough. But I always say, tear the Band-Aid off, deal with it, be transparent, be supportive. If you got a problem in the situation, always come with a solution. So
agreed.
All right, Dane, we got, and I know you already broke down the whole market velocity, which is really, really important. But I want to talk about what we do differently. I mean, I kind of get snippets here and there about what we do, but what do we at the Rakers Home Group do a little bit differently than most people that we've seen in the business?
Well, we definitely prepare before any negotiations start. You know, we know what our client wants. We already try to figure out what the other side's motivation is, and we try to prep for that before we start any negotiations.
That is true. Before that, we actually sit down with both buyer or seller and say, hey, when an offer comes through, this is more than likely the things that we're going to run into.
Right.
I usually give them about 3 to 4 different scenarios. And when we talk about that, we say, okay, how would you react to that at this moment? Well, obviously, what are we doing with that when we do that?
We're preempting everything. We're getting ahead of the game.
Is it easier to have a conversation with somebody about, hey, hypothetically, if this happens, what are you going to do? And it's something that they don't want.
Right.
They're going to get mad, right? And their emotions are going to come out. Let's get that out of the way now.
Yeah.
So you're educating the customer as you're going through the process by talking with them. But at the same time, exhausting that emotion that's probably going to be pent up, which already is, whether they realize it or not. And you get that resolved. So when it actually does happen, they're like, okay, we've talked about this. I know how to handle this.
Right.
Eric, I know that you're going to be going this direction, and this is how we're going to do it. I'm like, okay, great. We'll handle it that way. And it's not something they feel like they've been blindsided about. So educating, talking about our negotiation structure, the things that we do, we aim for terms, money, and timelines that fit the client goals, either on the buying or selling side. We focus on our tone and our pace, timing. Guys, it doesn't happen by accident. It's all intentional.
Right.
It really is. Every move we do is planned. It's not emotional. Speaking of planned, Garrett and Dane, actually, we've done this too. When I help you write an offer and kind of help you go through some stuff, do I preemptively be proactive based on repairs and a few other things?
Oh, yes.
Just because that's what we're going to run into.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that comes with experience. We'll write it off, especially for a buyer, knowing that more than likely the seller is going to ask for this. We know what kind of financing they have. We've already looked at the house. And I want to stop for just a minute. I want to go back to the educating part. This is just an all market data and stuff like that. What is probably the most powerful tool that we have as agents on a house that we're probably going to put an offer on? So we actually get to do what?
A walkthrough.
Exactly. When do we do the walkthrough?
When?
Yeah.
At the very beginning when we're walking the client through it.
Before you even write the offer.
Right, before the offer.
I love it. I love it. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
When you're doing a showing.
Yeah.
I'll always go walk in with somebody going, hey guys, this is what this house is. Here's some main points of the home. Take a look and see if you like it. Do you think that I follow them around? No, I let them go experience the home, because they're going to have a million different things going through their head.
Right.
They're in a different spot than I am. I am hired to help them.
Right.
So what I'm doing is I'm looking for anything. If they got FHA, I'm looking for anything WDO. Something's going to come on a financial contingency. These are the things I think about day one.
Oh, absolutely.
Step one, because if they do fall in love with it, I know what address, I know what hot buttons to point out, and I know what to ask for an initial concession.
Absolutely.
And if they balk at it, that's fine. I had that conversation with the listing agent and say, hey, listen, I understand where you're at. This is where we got. We have an FHA or a VA loan. Guess what? More than likely, if the seller doesn't take care of this, completely understand, but it will come up on a financial contingency. So do you want to handle it now and address it? Or do you want to handle it on week 3 when we got 7 days left before we close and they have to get it to buy it so my buyers can get the money?
Right.
I feel like if we don't handle it, don't do something about it, Mr. Listing Agent, you're wasting your seller's time.
Yep.
So sorry, I had to talk about that because
no, that's a good point.
That is really important.
Yeah.
And then going back to, every move is planned. It's not emotional. We follow data, not convenience. Not saying, hey, it's a great thing and we can do that. Yeah, go get that house. Yeah. Sorry. And then we fight for clients' money like it's our own.
Yeah.
I truly believe that even falls back to what we do every day, that, you have a team or a group of people in a business that if you make them have some kind of ownership with it, they care.
Oh, absolutely.
And, we care. We care not just about the money. We care about your money. We care about your experience, and we care about your family. And
your values, basically.
I always like going back and telling everybody, hey, guess what? I'm your agent now. Unfortunately, you're stuck with me. You're stuck with me. So you're going to get birthdays, phone calls from me, see how the kids are doing in sports.
Yeah.
I tell you, as many clients as I've taken care of so far since I've been in this business, I have a regiment, that I do. I'll do the day before Thanksgiving. I'll start running down the whole thing. And I'll start sending text messages out.
Yeah.
Or the ones that I do interact with a little bit more, I'll call them.
Yeah.
And I'll do the same thing for Christmas. I leave New Year's alone. I don't know why I do that. I usually call them after and say, hey, welcome to a new year. Need anything, let me know. But I hope you and your family have a strong new year.
Yeah.
I do that after the fact. Just because. But, well, I tell you what, guys, we're going to close this thing up a little bit because I think we covered that enough. And if your agent can't explain their negotiation strategies, guess what, guys? They don't have one. Your money is bleeding out somewhere. The question is whether your agent even notices that too. So you got to pay attention to that to the entire process. Negotiation isn't about being aggressive. It's about being prepared. And all of us here at the Rakers Home Group, we negotiate with intention and we never hope.
So if you got value from today's episode, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss when we drop another truth bomb.
And don't forget, every episode is also available on YouTube, where you can watch the full podcast and all of our amazing walkthroughs, educational videos, and weekly shorts.
We post new real estate content every single week. Real talk, no fluff. So hit follow, subscribe, and join the conversation.
Yes, we like subscribers and we love answering your questions.
Yep.
So this is Real Estate UnRaked, where we expose the truth, protect the client, and raise the bar for this industry. Thanks for listening, and always, let's unrake it.